the great Center for Evangelization here at the Chancery. Thank you for coming, especially in such a short notice. I'd like to welcome, I see in the room we have KUAM, Pacific Daily News, Pacific News Center, the Guam Post, Island Times may be coming. And I always neglect to mention our own Umatuna Sejuas. Our reporter is Anne Rodriguez, communications student at UOG. So, okay, thanks once again for joining us in this news conference, news briefing. Straight to the point, I'd like to introduce Archbishop Michael Byrnes.
Afternoon, everybody. Again, thanks for making the time. So, I just have a brief statement, and it concerns the closing of the Redemptoris Mater Seminary. I've seen that it's been floating around that the seminary would be closing. And so what I wanted to offer today was just a few remarks in that connection. So first of all, what has led me to this decision is a very simple thing. The model of the Redemptoris Mater Seminary envisions a type of priesthood and the producing of priests that, frankly, that model, while it works in a place like Denver, where there's over 1 million Catholics, or in a place like Miami, where there's a couple million Catholics that have this type of seminary, it's very sustainable. But on a small island like ours, and as I look back to the history of this, as I've paid attention personally to the Redemptoris Mater Seminary here, my main reason for closing the seminary is that it's just not a sustainable model for the Archdiocese of Agana. I have worked with a review committee to follow up on the review committee that Archbishop Hahn installed last June. I've consulted with our Presbyteral Council, with our Finance Council, with our College of Consultors, everybody I can consult with the seminary senior officers, and this has been my determination. So the current semester that is underway will be the final semester of the Redemptoris Mater Seminary. The semester ends in the first couple of weeks of December. So certainly by the end of the year, the seminary will be officially closed. In that connection, in the coming weeks, I will establish a transition team to deal with important points of closing the seminary. So first of all, would be the first concern, of course, is the seminarians who are there. So part of the role of the transition team is to foster a way of bringing these seminarians who wish to continue their pursuit of the priesthood to other seminaries, most probably other Redemptoris Mater seminaries. Secondly, we want to pay attention to how will we collect all the records. Now, this is kind of a very detailed point, but it's very important that we have a repository of the records, of the transcripts of what has taken place here, so that the seminarians going forward know that where they can find copies of their transcripts in case they're moving on to higher studies. Thirdly, of course, we'll have to look at the movable assets of the seminary and their disposition. And we'll also have to, another key point of this transition time will be how do we continue to take care of the property. So I've been here for about a year. The seminary was one of the first things, first questions I faced. And I've deliberated long and hard. This has not been an easy decision. I know it saddens many, especially the people in the seminary. And it's not with any delight that I do this. This has been a very difficult decision, and but I think it's the right one for moving ahead here in the Archdiocese of Agana. That's my statement.
Did your decision have anything to do with the recent Occupy RMS project from the CCOG?
No.
Are you thankful to them for what they did, and did you get any results from their survey?
I have not heard anything from their survey, so.
There were interviews conducted with the seminarians in recent months. What was the purpose for that?
For me to get to know them, and that's the important task of being a bishop is knowing your seminarians. So it's not just an attempt to get to know them, and I felt like I did that.
What was their reaction to news of the closure?
I haven't heard from the seminaries directly yet.
Oh, so you didn't conduct the actual interviews?
Oh, with some individual? No, I didn't. Over the course of the last several months.
Oh, but at the time
year.
the decision hadn't been
Time
made yet?
decision, yes.
Oh.
Archbishop Byrnes, does this mean that the property itself can now be really sold because you already have a date as to when the seminary would be closed, so the whole property would be vacant after December 2017?
As I said, there's going to be a period of transition, and I'm not sure that all our seminaries, how long will it take for our seminaries to be replaced, and so that's going to be a matter for our transition team.
How many seminarians, Archbishop?
It's between 15 and 20 right now. To my knowledge, yes.
Why not wait till the end of the school year? Wait till the end of the school year?
Good question. With an expectation of potential settlement, we will need a certain lead time for the property to be kind of available, and so with an expected settlement time in March, April, as we've heard, I thought this was the more appropriate time to close.
What is the value of the property? Has it been appraised?
Right, to get it, yes, we've had it appraised. The appraisal is not public, but you've heard numbers from $2 million to $70 million, somewhere in between there. Yes.
In the event Archbishop Anthony Aberon is reinstated, does it not seem imprudent to close RMS before his return?
No, I don't. I feel like I've made my estimation. I think, in my judgment, that it's not, again, as I say, not sustainable for our archdiocese going forward.
Anything yet on the Archbishop's, on the sentence?
No, we talked about that just the other day, but yeah, no, still like, yeah. Do I dare open my mouth?
Are they like in separate parts of the world?
I don't know. See, who the judges are is a secret.
Archbishop Byrnes, when you mentioned that the main reason for the closure of the seminary is that it's not sustainable for an archdiocese, of this archdiocese to continue operating that, because the archdiocese is spending so much on also on that seminary.
Well, it more has to do with the model of the Redemptoris Mater Seminary, and I can't go through all of that, but it's in the sense that it envisions producing priests who would serve for a period of time on the island and then would go off into the missions. And so we have several, probably close to a dozen priests who are off island, right, involved in matters of the neo-catechumenal life. That's the model.
Okay, so I was supposed to clarify that. So it's because they are formed in the neo-catechumenal way process, but
vision
not
of where their priests, what is the aim of their priests, and that's as far as I'm going to go on that.
So if their priests were to stay on Guam, let's say that was the model that they adopted, would your decision have?
That would be a whole different, but that would be a whole different kind of seminary too. You would create a different kind of seminary for that. The Redemptoris Mater Seminary is a unique There is certainly some angst on the island.
Right. Did any of that have were you pressured by any of that to make this decision?
It's certainly a factor in the decision, but I didn't feel like I was pressured towards this decision. Anybody, when people are expressing angst, it's information. It's not determinative. Not necessarily determinative, but it's information. So it was part of the information that was out there,
So if someone wanted to pursue the priesthood, they would have to go off island for their education, or is there a seminary down south still, or?
No. Yeah. So we've already sent off 3 men this year to St. Patrick's Seminary in San Francisco, and our inclination would be continued. Well, our plan would be to continue as we gain new seminaries to send them to an off-island seminary.
Can you say how much that education would cost, how long it would be?
It's anywhere from 4 to 6 years, depending on the man's background. It's in the order of $20,000 a year.
Have you had any interest in the property? Has anybody expressed any interest in acquiring the
Not
property?
to my knowledge. Still working it out. Crystal has a quick one right there.
What message do you have for those on the island who have supported the RMS? In the last 15 years it's been in existence.
I've been very grateful for their support. We've, it's produced, a good number of priests who are, actively at work in our parishes, and so I'm gratified by their generosity.
Yeah. Are you concerned at all about any kind of further divide in the sale of the seminary might have with the Neos on Guam and other Catholics?
Am I worried? No, I'm not worried. I don't really know how to respond to that. My hope is that we would be very clearly one church, which we are one church, and that some of the strife within the church would subside. That's my hope. Heidi, first dibs.
Okay, so right now, after RMS closes, there is no more seminary on Guam.
Yes, that's the
And
the John Paul the Great Seminary closed this fall, August 7th.
And then everyone here who wants to pursue priesthood will be sent off island.
Right, because we don't have a seminary on island. Yeah.
Archbishop, what is the estimated savings by the closure of the RMS seminary?
I have not worked out that figure.
You said it costs about $20K a year for a seminarian at RMS or at off island. How much would it cost here locally on?
It's a different model, different funding model. So I don't have a number for that. Yes.
Also, what's the deal with the affiliation with the Lateran? I understand it's been revoked.
It's not been revoked. It's not been, but it's just not been renewed. It's not going to be renewed.
What does that mean?
It means that their affiliation, which the affiliation meant that the degrees were granted here, but in the name of the Lateran University. Does that make sense?
It's almost like an accreditation, a seal of accreditation.
You could think about it sort of that way, yeah. But it's so that affiliation allowed our seminaries to receive the degree of baccalaureate in sacred theology from the Lateran. So accreditation is probably the easiest.
So when you say
analogy.
it's not been renewed, does that affect the most recent graduates?
No, they're able to continue and receive the degree.
But the neo-catechumenal way is not considered, you're not saying goodbye to the neo-catechumenal way?
No, not by
They
us.
can, even if the seminary is no longer in existence, the neo-catechumenal way can still exist here on Guam?
That's a whole different matter, but yes, it could, yeah.
But it's not under the Archdiocese of Agana.
That'll be a question for another day. Yes. They're only here by the disposition of the Archbishop. So there's a, but that's a different question.
I thought the RMS was self-sustaining. Was it?
Yeah, and that's not the point. So so. All right.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do a briefing?
Hey, you have my bag, Crystal?
Yes, I have it with my phone.
If you guys are just joining us, we are here live from the Chancery in Agana.
I want to say Agana and Hanya is like in the borderline. Hafide, I'm Crystal Paco. If you're just tuning in, that was Coadjutor Archbishop Michael Byrnes. If we can head down this way because people will be heading out. That's Coadjutor Archbishop Michael Byrnes. He just briefed the media, basically saying in a nutshell, we're closing the RMS. We're closing down the seminary. Again, he's saying that it was a difficult decision. His reason for closing it down, it wasn't a sustainable model for Guam. He did say that it would be a sustainable model for other places where there are millions of Catholics. He said in Denver and Miami, to name a few places. The main reason, again, not a sustainable model for the Archdiocese of Agana. He spoke with a lot of individuals to come up with this final decision. He spoke with the review committee. If you remember when Savio Hantai 5 was on island, he set up a review committee to kind of look at the seminary, its protocols, the way it was basically like a... Sorry.
You're good.
We also have the Presbyteral Council he spoke with. Those are his group of priests that kind of give him advisement. He spoke with senior officers at the seminary. Again, with the heavy heart, he makes today's news. They will be officially closing the doors by the end of the year. So the end of the semester is about early mid-December. So should anyone on Guam want to become a priest, pursue the priesthood, they would have to actually travel off island now to get that education. And he did say that, you know, that would be about $20,000 a year, about a 4 to 6 year education. But he wouldn't divulge in how much it would cost locally to produce seminary or produce a priest. He didn't really have the numbers for that. Again, the RMS is one of the top ticket items on the church's list of items for sale, possible properties, possible assets for sale, in light of the 100+ clergy sex abuse lawsuits. Again, we're anticipating settlement in March-April timeline of next year, and so when I asked relative to why rush to close, right? Why not wait until the end of the school year? That seems like the more logical thing to do. Well, he said that it is because we plan on settlement early next year, and they would need a transition period in order to cater to that. Again, we don't know how much the RMS actually costs. We've seen everything from $2 million, which was, I believe, how much we spent to acquire it, to like $75 million. Again, it was a former hotel in Yona. It's still there. We're seeing about, he said there's something like 15 to 20 seminarians there presently. They will be moving off island. That we've already sent 3 seminarians off island to further their education. We also talked about the Lateran affiliation. It sounds more like an accreditation for us in like the public school system and in the Catholic school system, or at least the best comparison for myself. No more Lateran affiliation. That means the seminary was no longer affiliated with that, couldn't get that kind of seal of approval to justify the degree, from my understanding. Again, he doesn't feel like he was pressured by, he does feel it was a factor that there were so many protests, but he doesn't feel that he was pressured to make his decision. Again, we're expecting settlement in early next year. Just because the seminary is closing doesn't mean that has to be the end of the Neo-Catechumenal Way, although he does say that that is a different issue. I did ask about the self-sustaining. I understand that from past press conferences, I understand that the RMS was self-sustaining in the last few months, if not the last year that Archbishop Byrnes has been on island. He wouldn't delve on that. But again, in a nutshell, Coadjutor Archbishop Byrnes has announced plans to close the RMS. Again, we are waiting a decision from Rome on Archbishop Anthony Abron's canonical trial. We hear there's a decision out, but they just await the signatures, and they can't go public with that verdict until It gets all the signatures from the judges, and again, we don't know who the judges are. And so for the full story, check us out on KUM Primetime. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Crystal. And if you are just joining us and you like the quality of the stream, remember, fastest guy even faster. Experience online speeds up to 100 megabytes, available on Docomo Pacific's one bundle
Because
plan.
Docomo, we're better together.
Definitely. Thank you, Crystal. We'll see you later.